So, all right, we are live. I'm just waiting for YouTube to catch up with me. Oops. All right. There we go. I knew I forgot to silence that. There we go. All right. Welcome live from the crossroads of America to Rick's Life as I See It, a 1-hour talk show about guns, politics, and anything else that crosses my mind. I'll answer questions from you, the listener. You can put them in the chat or send me an email at rickslife@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Also, normally within 24 hours of this show ending, the audio file will be on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes for your listening pleasure. And I got a Patreon page. As you can see, the is on my lower thirds there. And I have T-shirts and coffee mugs at spreadshirt.com. Just type in Rick's Life or Spotted Rick and my stuff should come up. We have, I'm trying to think, what else do we have? I'm losing track of what I got. But anyway, I noticed the chat room's filling up. We got 2 live moo, unknown user, Rich White. And I think Ozzy was in earlier. Don't know if he's still here. And that was on YouTube. Then we're broadcasting on gun channels too. It looks like Ellis, Dr. No, The Pants, Clay are on that side. So we're looking good today. I sent out a bunch of invitations since but the only one that's showing up right at the moment is Clover. And let me introduce him right now. How you doing, Clover?
I'm good. Thanks for the invite, Rick.
No problem. Hopefully other people will jump in as the show goes on. Clay has asked me a question on gun channels. How many guns have you bought since you moved? None yet. But I went to a gun store the other day, and I put the pictures on gun channels. It was called Jeff's Bait and Gun or Gun and Bait. It was in Jasper, Indiana. And he said, take pictures. So I took some pictures, and he has more guns, more rifles, or long guns, should we say, on his wall than I saw in all the gun stores in Rhode Island combined. And he had a case full of 1911s and all other kinds of guns. I stood there in awe, like with my mouth open.
Couldn't believe it, I see a lot of time being wasted there for you.
Yeah. So that was just one. There was another gun store, but he doesn't open until the evenings. But he does mainly tactical stuff. So I got to go one evening and check him out. So I was quite impressed with that gun store, to be honest with you. But I guess that's what gun stores are really like. I mean, not only that, he had the ammo out there, and it wasn't locked up like it is in Rhode Island, you know? So it was pretty good. All right. I got to, I'm waiting for, what's name was, hey, David, didn't I send you a link in an email? Could have sworn I did. I might not have. I'm waiting for, what's called meant to show up today. Dead Horse. I sent him a link too. Because we're meant to do the prize drawing on the GoFundMe.
Oh, nice.
Deal. Yeah, he had it all done. He had it all, and he was meant to come on here today, and we were going to do it. So I'm hoping he shows up. I hope he didn't forget. So if not, we'll have to do it Wednesday. So, all right. But anyway, last week's prize, and that was for. Let me get it. That one's this week's. Last week's prize was this Stick to Your Guns America baseball cap. And it says here on the corner, it's your right. And the mail-in thing for that. The question was, no, that's not what I want. That's the one I want right there. The question was, in the movie, the John Wayne movie, The Shootist, and the character J.B. Books, I wanted to know what were the three main weapons he carried. And I guess a couple of people got confused. What I was after was like his main revolver, right, was actually it was his own personal gun he used. It was made for him in the 1950s. And anyway, that was the question. The answer was his rifle was a Winchester Model 1892. He carried the Remington 1866 Derringer, and his main weapon was a Great Western revolver based on the 73 single action Colt. That was the answers I was looking for. And just as a bonus, I threw out there, nobody got it, but I don't want, because it wasn't part of the contest. I also asked, what was the gun that what's his name, Ron Howard, threw across the bar at the very end there? Because it looked like he picked up John Wayne's gun and threw it, but actually what he threw was a Ruger, which they made up to look like a Colt single action. You know, because I guess John Wayne didn't want his real gun thrown across the room. So,
you would think if they were just going to throw it across the room, they'd just use a prop of some kind.
Oh yeah, but they made according to what I read, they made a Ruger. I think it looked like one. Oh, hang on. Let me put a link in Gun Channels there for you, David. Hang on. I'm doing it now. If you go to the Gun Channels chat, there's one there. And are you in the... I don't see you you're not showing up in the... Oh, yeah, there you are. Let me send you one through the messenger thing on Gun Channels. Hang on. I'm trying to do two things at once here, and it's not easy for me. There we go. All right. So that was the question. That was the answer. And the winner, let me get my dooley bopper. I think I got 5 correct entries, and I had 2 that weren't correct. So I had 7 altogether, which I was quite pleased. So my website random picker. Let me hit the draw now button. Let's see who it is. Native Gun is the winner. So there we go. So I don't know if he's in the chat right. Hey, Vanessa, I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but that's who won it. Let me write that down because sometimes I forget. Native Gun winner. All right. And I do have a question at the end of the show. So let me put that head up there. Get mailed off. For the end of the show, I got this one. Look at that. It's even still got the sticker on it, the tag on it. It's All-American Patriot, ready to defend. Baseball cap. So that's the prize for the question at the end of the show. Yeah, Native Gun's the winner. So, all right. Now, there was a question I was asked by an unknown user. I suffer from severe back pain. Do you have trouble with rifle caliber recoil hurting your back too? The few rifles I shot, I haven't shot many. They do, but I mean that's why I like shooting my little 22. That doesn't bother me. When I shoot my 12 gauge shotgun, that hurts the hell out of my back. Normally at the end of the day, I'm suffering. So there we go. There we are. David's joined us. How you doing, David?
I'm good. How you guys doing today? Thanks for the invite.
Okay. I have to. I don't know how I missed you on the. I must have missed you on the email. I do apologize. I thought I got everybody.
I'll forgive you this time.
Okay. All right. So, what I was going to talk about mainly is a lot of it's open because I'm still haven't settled in. I still haven't been keeping an eye on what's going on. I've been enjoying my myself. I got car troubles right now. Then what was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? What's yesterday? Friday? Yeah. Yesterday morning, my TV died on me. So, hey, these things happen. I don't know whether it got damaged in the move and it just, I don't know, or it was just its time, but it went. That's all right. I can survive. I can watch TV on the computer, So it's just one of the things. Then I said I need a new alternator for my truck. My cousin's meant to be doing it for me. Problem when you use. I'm finding this out because I haven't had family around me for God knows how many years that I lived up in Rhode Island. Is family. They're great to have around, but I guess when you want something done, you sort of got to. I guess they don't put you to the top of the list, especially when they're doing it for free. You know what I'm saying? So he's good, but the car will run on the battery for a while, but the alternator's not working. It's not charging it up, so I can't go too far. The battery just drains. So there we go. Oh yeah, I told him I'm gonna send him that hat. Unknown user. He knows it's all going to be mailed out in the next week. As I said, I'm way behind schedule trying to get this little new place ready. But and also talking about that, I was going to talk about that concealed carry. I've already filled the form out for concealed carry for Indiana. But of course, I got to get my Indiana driving license first. Because they want the number of your license on the application. So, once I've done that, pay the money, click send. All I got to do is go down to the state barracks, which is in Jasper, which is about 10 miles from here. Have my fingerprints done. And if I want it for 4 years, I think it's $25 or something like that. But a life one is $125 for life. So that's the one I'm going for.
Have you had any luck finding a new carry weapon?
Not yet. Now, I was saying earlier, I don't know if you heard me earlier, I went to that gun store earlier in the week, and I sold the EZ 380, but I was so dumb. I was like a deer in the headlights. I didn't even ask him to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so all about seeing so many guns in one place at one time. It was kind of, I was overwhelmed. But I got to get used to that. That's normal for here, So, but I haven't found a new one yet. But I've been toying with I've been carrying my 38 special a lot this week here in Indiana. For one, it slides in my pocket easy, and it's not. But it kicks. The recoil on that thing is a son of a gun. I noticed that much when I fired it, but it's light. But I got to come up. I got to come up with another carry gun. I really do, because as much as I love my M&P 45, it's just, I was thinking. As much as I hate to say this, I was thinking of going along Yankee Marshall's trail the 1911. Start carrying that. It's thinner. It's not any lighter, but it's easier to, pulling the slide back's easier for me. And it's a sweet gun. So the recoil on that isn't so bad on that 1911. I don't know why. The recoil seems softer on the 1911 than it does on my M&P. Maybe because the 1911 it's all metal gun, where the M&P's got polymer. So there we go. Oh, not only that, that gun store I went to even carried reloading supplies. Which I thought, oh man, I was in hog heaven. If I had, luckily I didn't have, luckily or unluckily, I didn't have any money on me. Well, I didn't want to spend any because I'm, budget's a bit tight right now. But I thought I could spend everything I got right here, and go home happy. So, anyway, what I was going to talk about on the CCW. So that's what I got to do for the Indiana one. And if anybody's interested in the 7 I already have, I've checked with Florida, and you have to fill out online that you've had a change of address, and that's all you got to do, because there's no, I didn't even notice it when I got it. My old address is not, they don't put addresses on the license. So there we go. So, but they have it on file. So they've had that updated. So my non-resident Florida's still good, right? Utah, I contacted them through email, and they wrote back to me and they said, yes, we've updated your file with your new address. No problem. If you want a new license, send us X amount of, I think it was $15, and they're sending me a new license with my new address on it, or just write your new address on the back of your license. So I went that route. So my Utah one's still good. Virginia is sending me a new license free of charge with a new address on it. Maine, I've got a call to get that done. Just give them my new info. Connecticut, I sent them an email with the new change of address, but I haven't heard back from them yet. Massachusetts, I have to call to let them know. Massachusetts, you got to call, let them know change of address. But they said you've got to inform your local police that you're carrying a non-resident Massachusetts license. I don't know why, but that's what they're claiming. So, now the difficult one is my resident one, for Rhode Island. I know I'm not a resident anymore. Now, I checked into not changing it to a non-resident one. Well, here comes the problem. My Rhode Island one was issued by the local police department because they're shell issue. You get one through the Attorney General's office, it's a May issue, believe it or not. But that's the way Rhode Island is the only state in the union. I think it's dual on their carries. But non-resident permits are only given out by the Attorney General. So I've got to fill out a form for the Attorney General's office for a non-resident one. So do I keep the Rhode Island one? That is the question. I'm going to pull up the form online and see what it asks. If it's not too much aggravation, I'll go ahead and do it. But if I got to do what I did to get my other one, I'll just let it go. Because everybody knows what it took. I don't know if everybody knows what it took for me to get my Rhode Island one, but besides the three letters of character, from references from friends that I am a good character, I had to sign a waiver for they could check out the local rehab centers to make sure I hadn't been in there for drugs or alcohol abuse or mental issues. Had to go for an interview in front of the police department, then take the shooting test. And if I got to do any of that, I don't know how I'm going to do the shooting test being out of state, but I said I got to pull up the form and see how it is and see how much they're going to charge me for doing it. But that's where we're at right now with that. Oh, Andrew says, "Man, Rick, are you going for all 50?" Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to get me one of them wallets like the cartoons. When the police stops me, I can pull it out and pull out on the line. And I say, "Which one you want?" That's what I'm looking for. But
you might be able to get 49 because Maryland's not going to give you one.
Yeah. I don't think New York could give me one. But New York has been known to hand out non-residents, but it's tough, I don't think New Jersey will give me one either. So there we go. But then again, it all comes. I mean, really, eventually, like anything else, it is. They're not free. There's a fee you pay every so many years. I mean, how willing am I to do that for how long? That's the question. But as long as I can afford it and do it, I'm going to do it. So with the Indiana one, that give me 8. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. Here's a question I got for you guys. You can answer me this one. I brought this up before on one of my chats, but I thought I'll throw it out there again. G-Webs, how you doing?
Good. Good. Thanks for posting over on Gun Channels. I saw the link there.
Okay, great. Glad you joined us. What I was going to talk about is, insurance again, carry insurance. I mean, yes or no, and if no, why? Was my question. I personally got it. There's a bunch of different companies out there now that do it. I carry it not mainly for the having the lawyer and not. I guess I'm not thinking of the original shooting. I'm thinking more of the civil suit that might come. Where somebody's going to try to sue you for millions for a wrongful death or some shit. I was just wondering what you guys think of it. Clover.
I'm gonna be a no. I don't have it, and I don't know. It's a risk assessment thing for me. I guess that's what insurance is, of course. But I don't. I don't feel that we're. The odds of me ever being in a situation, and then on top of that, what location it's in, or what law enforcement agency or anything else is going to be involved for that to potentially be a problem. I don't know. It's just for the cost that it is. I mean, when I can get life insurance for $6 a month, and that's a certainty that I will eventually die. And then, some of the carry insurances are more expensive than that. I don't know. To me, for such a far-fetched thing that I don't know. It seems like a racket to me, pretty much across the board. I'm not saying don't get it. If you feel comfortable, if it makes you feel comfortable, do it. But, at the cost with the odds of having to use that or something, it just seems far-fetched to me.
That makes sense. David, what do you think?
Well, from the perspective from the state that I live in, I would say that you probably should get it. The reason I say that is Maryland's a flea state, which I don't know if that's the technical term for it, but if you can run, you have to run. If there's any way for you to surrender or escape a situation, you have to do that first. So you're most likely going to have some type of legal trouble if you ever have to use your firearm. But then again, like Clover was saying, if you go from where I live west, it's not like you're going to be in much of a crime area. So it's not like you're going to really ever come across a situation where you might have to, point your firearm at somebody and discharge it. From where I live east, the probability goes up quite quite considerably more. So it really depends on where you live at, and like Clover was saying, how much risk you're in. You know, if you live in a place where you really feel like at any point in time you're going to have to pull your firearm out, then it might not be a bad idea to have it.
Yeah, not just risk of a threat, but you gotta realize risk of as far as the political agenda, so to speak, of the law enforcement and the authorities in that area.
Yeah, with Maryland, if you have to shoot somebody, it's not like the cops are going to say, "Oh, this guy was here and he was breaking into your house. Have a good night and leave." Your gun is getting confiscated that night, and you're
Not happening
probably
here.
going to jail.
It's not happening here. Not
Yeah,
happening here.
Actually,
I there was a guy that tried to rob a convenience store. I was about it was about 3 doors down from my business. Um, the convenience store owner shot him. He filled out some paperwork, and everybody went home pretty much. And then I know a guy owns a used car dealer that he was getting robbed one night. They kicked in his door. He got up. He shot him dead. And um, basically, they come out. They scooped the dude up, put him in a body bag. He filled out some paperwork, and they left the scene. So, like I said, depends on political motivations and everything else of other places. But for a 3 or 4 county area, probably here, if it's justified, it's justified. You're not going to spend a night in jail. They're not going to take your firearm. It's said and done.
yeah. See, and thinking about that, where I'm at now in Indiana, it's gun friendly. I mean, I've still got the Rhode Island Northeast mentality right now. You know, where if I'd shot somebody in Rhode Island, it'd be like David there. The gun would have gone. I would have been in jail, and I would need that lawyer and bail money to get me out. You know what I'm saying? So it's something to look into how favorable they are here.
Yeah, and real quick, another thing you have to look at is if you can be sued by the family of the person you shot or not. Here in West Virginia, by law, you can't be sued by the surviving family members, but certain other states that might not be the case. So if you're going to be traveling across state borders, it might be a good idea to make sure you have that insurance just in case you do have to use your weapon as well.
You also though, I'm just playing devil's advocate here on stuff. You also got to look at the ne'er do wells that are committing the acts that would cause you to pull your firearm and have to remedy that situation. First of all, does the family have any connections and or the monetary or the economic means or whatever by which to hire a lawyer to bring forth the civil suit? That's first of all. Second of all, what kind of family does that particular individual even have? I mean, this street riffraff that probably ain't spoken to his family in no telling how long. I mean, you've got varying things in play. When we see a lot of this crap, we see a lot of it against police officers, and what you got to realize is that's high-profile situations in that case. And you have lawyers, you have ambulance chasing lawyers that go after the family of the individuals that were shot in those cases, right? It's not the family seeking out legal, civil recourse. It's a literally an ambulance chasing lawyer pushing that narrative. I think that happens a lot. I think rank and file, everyday situations. Most people are they understand that even though that was a son, a daughter, a cousin, a nephew, a relative, a father, or whatever. You cross the line, you cross the line. It's just part of it. And I say that as people that as somebody that has extended family that are criminal element. I've got a cousin that has had. I think I have mentioned it before that is serving a life sentence for killing her ex-husband or being involved in that rather. And matter of fact, there's been some TV movies, I think, and some cold case files, or whatever those shows are done on her particular case. So you know, somebody that has family, you know, that goes down that path. I mean, I could give two flips. I mean, if they break in on somebody, they deserve what they get.
You know, talking about the law enforcement thing, though, a lot of the reason they sue the municipalities and stuff is because they know cities and counties will settle rather than battle it out in court, and they'll just settle just to make it go away.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let me move down the line here. Who we got? G-Webs. What's your take on insurance? Yes or no?
Yeah, okay. I only can do yes or no. I couldn't disagree more with everything that's been said. So those are points, but you're gaming it, dude. Like, I don't know how much you want to go into this this afternoon, but you're gaming it if you think every justifiable lethal force incident is a street thug running up on somebody and it being basically square range, black and white. You know, it's all done and over with. That's great. And if that happens, if you get struck by lightning and that's where you have to deal with a lethal force incident, that's awesome. But that's a small percentage of a small percentage of them. Definitely can't go off of first off, if you're going off of instances you're aware of, that's more crime than I'm aware of in my area. So that's a pretty high crime neighborhood. If you've got 2 instances of people being shot to death in a criminal activity, that's something where I think you'd be more interested in having something to, because you were saying it's not a situation there. I think that it sounds like it's definitely a situation there. But as far as the thing, I mean, lethal force, it would be great if it was always a bad guy coming straight at us in daylight, but it's not. And sometimes people make mistakes and bullets go places they're not supposed to. And people that sue you aren't always a bad guy's family. And that bad guy doesn't always have a history of being a bad guy. People fly off the handle and do weird things. People make weird YouTube videos in parking lots. In alleyways and stuff, and somebody that walks across something and it comes into a battle of perception, and I saw this and I thought this was happening, I perceived it as this and I thought I was justified to do this, and the other person is like, this is a father of 7 and he was making a video with his kid in the alley and you had no right to this. Do you want a lawyer on your side at that point? As far as what happens near your home, they don't think it's like cars where most accidents happen near your home. Accidents can happen anywhere, and bad guys choose the opportunity to make those bad things happen. So you don't go out one morning and go, oh, today's my gunfight, so I'm going to get ready for it and be all, I'm going to have a good breakfast and get ready for this. It happens when you wake up and your wife's screaming and you're had been blacked out from being clubbed in the back of the head, and you got to start making decisions in the crowd. There's all kinds of situations there. So you go out of state. Everybody goes out of state here. You go out of the city even, and you're in different jurisdictions. So if you don't, or if you don't suggest or let the officer know you've got a firearm right away, now you're in firearms trouble, and no shots were fired. If you're in the wrong jurisdiction and they have what do they call it, mandatory declaration or whatever it's called, where you have to tell them you've got a gun, and you don't know that, because I don't live in a place like that. That was one of my worries when I traveled. Just something like that. They pull you over because you're going 2 miles over, or you didn't switch lanes fast enough or too slow or whatever, and a minor traffic incident turns into a felony firearms thing. That's where you want insurance. Now, I'm going to say on the other side, as far as it being a scam, I mean, I'm not in bed with any of the insurance companies, but I understand that they don't have backing like a real insurance company. They don't have billions of dollars in 17 different international countries so that they can, never have to worry about financial issues. They're not solid companies. They're a lot of times creating their whole structure. So the whole idea of insurance is to have a whole bunch of people that nothing happens to contribute to the few where something happens to. Now, if it's something like insurance for sports, yeah, leave me out of it. I don't play sports and I don't care about sports, so not an issue to me. But when something like Second Amendment and guns, I think it's worth you're saying $6 a month for insurance or whatever. I think my Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network is $170 a year. So unless I'm wrong, that's just a little over $10 a month. that's hardly a difference. And if I don't ever need that money, that $160 a month or a year went to somebody who did. And I certainly want to help a brother out or a sister out who's gotten in a situation where they need a lawyer. Now, we can get into the specifics of them because they're not typical insurance, that some of them pay for the stuff after the fact. Some of them provide you with, prepaid legal almost. And like the Armed Citizens one, it's more of a fund that's available as soon as you need it, and resources for expert witnesses and lawyers and stuff, depending on where you are. Some of them are local, some of them are regional, and some of them are national. But, national, how do you know you got a good lawyer and they're not just picking a lawyer out of a phone book? Regional, what happens when you leave the region? So none of them are perfect. I'll agree with that. But I think that's a massive subject. And I say it's better to have it in general. To answer your question, yes. And hopefully never need it.
All right. I that's one of the reasons why I first got it. So yeah. Who's next? Who's next here? Rich. What do you think?
I think G-Web's covered it pretty well. I don't think there's much more to add to that. Basically, what he said was reasons why I would go with it and everything too. So.
Okay. So next is the gun snob.
I see Clover's point. I live in an area where it's pretty, rural and pretty gun friendly and all that. And I've seen a lot of stuff like that happen and never be an issue. But also, I travel a lot and stuff, and I have second call defense just because I just researched a bunch of them and just picked the one I thought I liked the most of their things. And it's like, I don't know, $12.95 a month or something. I'm like, I waste that much money a week on donuts or something stupid. So why not at least have that? But hopefully I never need it.
Yeah. But I've got the big national one. Was it concealed carry? United States Concealed Carry Association, whatever it's called. I've got their lowest deal was $13 a month. But I feel comfortable carrying it. Now, whether I'm going to ever need it here in Indiana, I don't know. But I felt I needed it up in the Northeast because the climate against the Second Amendment, and guns was totally different to what it is here. But then again, if, say, like later next year when the NRA thing is in Indianapolis, I'm going to go. Now we're talking a big, giant city that has, crime. The chances of me getting into anything are very, very small. But it's the what if that worries me. So, as you said, I spend more than $13 a month on donuts as well. So I think I'm going to keep what I got. The only thing I don't like, why I chose mine was they put the money up front. Is the part I liked about it. So, but the downside is they absolutely flood you with emails. They must send 5 or 6 a day. But I've cured that. I finally went in and changed all my options. I maybe get 1 a week now. So, which is good. Otherwise, if you don't, they will send you 5 or 6 emails a day. And it gets kind of crazy. So, anyway, that was my take on it. Real quick. What I was going to talk about was my cousin came over last night. I got loads of them, as I told you here. There's another one of my cousins. The cousin came over last night. He was the one that I hung around with when I came down here to Indiana in the summertime and lived on the farm that he grew up on. And he brought the hunting and trapping guide for Indiana. Because he wants to take me hunting. But you got to be a resident for 60 days before you can get a resident license to hunt in
what's a non-resident cost? I bet you it's not that much.
Okay, that's what I'm looking here. A combo hunt and fish license. A non-resident can't get one of those. So if you want to get a deer license, it is it's 100 for a resident. It's $24. For a non-resident, it's $150.
I'd be waiting.
Turkey is $25 for a resident, or $120 for a non-resident. Yeah, but what I like, my uncle thought of this one. He said this would be good. He said because I can come with you. He goes, persons with disabilities they can be, let's see, they get a special permit which allows them to drive their vehicles onto certain areas. You can shoot from the side of the road and all that kind of good stuff, which you can't do as a regular hunter. So he said that's what I need to go for. He said that way we can just sit on the side of the road and shoot deers and turkeys and stuff. So I don't know, but it's pretty nice that the actual state even takes disabled, hunting into consideration, which I thought was pretty nice. So, and from what I understand is to get the disabled permit, it's the same price as a resident one, but you sort of you can't just walk in there and say I'm disabled. You got to have proof, like from a doctor saying that you're disabled. So, which I have in Rhode Island, which hopefully will be transferred over to Indiana. So we're good there. That's what I was hoping for. So I never shot a deer. I mean, here's the question: can I?
Yep.
Can I shoot a deer?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is,
you're gonna cry.
How I feel shooting one. Dead.
First time. I think we talked about this maybe Wednesday a little bit with the kid that was on, but the first time, I think if you're older, I don't think it's probably near as traumatic or whatever. Yeah, when you start talking about shooting animals, whether you're talking about taking game or you're talking about dispatching varmints, either way, or nuisances, there is it takes a little bit of time because you've got to approach everything from the right mentality. So what I often suggest with somebody that's never done it before is sort of do a little bit of homework on management, on wildlife management, on game management and stuff like that. And then that puts it into a perspective. You're not just going out, gung ho Rambo and killing poor innocent little animals at that point. Then you really understand the purpose as to why we have to manage wildlife for whatever reason it might be, whether it's food on the table or like I said, nuisance or varmint problems.
Yeah, you're right here. I mean, there's a limit to, like in this county I'm living in, the limit is 3 does and 1 buck. That's all you're allowed to shoot. That's it.
Well, that's a lot of meat right there.
That's it. How many in Arizona? 1 deer every year. One deer every year.
Oh yeah. So shooting 4 deer is pretty good, huh?
Oh yeah, that tells me you've got a really good. You probably got population overgrowth up there.
Yeah. And with you being by yourself, 4 deer, there's your supply of meat, Rick.
And there's a lot of farmland in Indiana too.
Oh, there is.
And so that would that's going to play into especially deer, because deer will they'll eat the crap out of the crops, right? So, you got to keep that in check. You have to.
Do they have limitations on like birds and squirrels and turkeys when you got to?
Yeah, that's listed in here too. I'm trying to think where I saw that at. Okay, yeah, I mean, Here, fur bearers, red or gray fox, there's no limit. Coyotes, striped skunk, there's no limit. Raccoons, no limit. Let's see. In the spring, wild turkeys, one bird of either sex. Yeah, and deer, we said that deer, I get 4 of those. Pheasants, 2 per day. Quail, 4 per day. Rabbits, 5 per day. You know, they even limit the amount of frogs you can catch too. You can only catch 25 a day.
Right.
You know,
Holy crap, 25.
so they have limits on on a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
You know.
So were you kidding about being able to shoot one?
I don't know. I think I'll be able to shoot one now. I think I've never shot one, so I think I'll be able to do it.
Well, and learn too, Rick. Like I said, it's a matter of perception. It's just getting your mind in the right place. It really is. And then from there, because just because you're allowed a doe or you're allowed a buck, doesn't mean that you have to go out and kill Bambi's dad or Bambi's mom, or something. So it kind of depends on how you hunt too. If I'm going out, I mean, I'm pretty conscious of the conservation, I should say, aspect of things. I'm pretty conscious of the conservation. So for me, if I'm going to be putting meat in the freezer, right, then I'm going to look for genetic anomalies, with deer. I'm going to look for the older does, the ones that are, past, breeding age, the ones that are, on the downhill side of things. I hate to take a young doe that's got, many years of giving us deer left. And I hate to take a nice buck, especially a nice younger buck, right? That's capable of putting a lot of good genes out there in the population as well. And learning those things, I mean, it takes time, but I mean, there's picture books out there. You can go to the library, or heck, even get online, and there's picture books that, tell you what to look for. That'll kind of help you out to be able to identify certain things like that, and that makes it a lot easier to take that animal and then put it in the freezer.
When you think you're talking manicuring the herd, so you're actually participating in keeping the.
Sure, I think we have a responsibility in a way to do that.
Yeah, I think we do too. I mean, in the sense is like all the farmland. If it wasn't, I mean, if we didn't encroach on their space, we wouldn't have to, because we're making their area where they live smaller and smaller, but they're still populating, so their herds are getting bigger and bigger.
No, I wouldn't think of it that way anymore, because when they're natural, they live in big giant herds, and they just destroy big areas of land as they kind of cut a path through the middle of nothing. So they need a lot of land. So it's unreasonable to let, we'd have to leave Nebraska for the animals. Even if we did, we'd have to go in there and manicure them like Clover's saying, because otherwise they would just, overwhelm each other. So what's happening now is more like rats. So I think Clover's thing is a good analogy, or a good way to come at it, because, just practically you're participating in a population control.
Yeah. Now, I mean, doing it, I would want the meat. I've eaten deer meat. I mean, I've never shot it myself, but I've eaten it, and I don't mind it.
Well, doing what Clover's talking about, you're going to get some old stuff and you're going to get some new stuff. I mean, the middle stuff is middle stuff. So the new stuff is tender and whatever, and the old stuff is you're helping out, and you get more of it because they're bigger.
Hey, I don't care if it comes out in like ground beef type thing, and I'll make hamburger patties out of it. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's food. Food is food.
Sounds like you got the potential. You got the ingredients for a new series or something. If you grab 3 or 4 deers and then different ways to process them and cook them up and slice them up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's big. I've gotten really big deer, a lot of meat, right, before that. just goofy looking. I mean, he was huge deer, but as far as people look a lot at the antlers, right? They want that good shoulder mount or something. And this stupid thing's got like a fork coming out one side and a little spike on the other, but he's as big as a horse. And year in and year out, nobody kills this thing. So he's steadily spreading those crappy genes, right? It's like take that sucker out, put him in the freezer, and let's weed that out of the gene pool so we got some nicer deer. And if people took that approach for several years, and people won't, let's be honest, but if more people did, then there would be nicer deer that people could put on their wall for more people, because there would be better genes out there in the population.
Yeah. I've been told by my cousins, though, the deers here in Indiana are huge.
They are. Sit around eating corn all the time.
4 deer is going to fill your freezer up, no problem.
They're sitting around eating corn all the time. That's made to feed cows, so it's perfect food for them. And then it's up in the air, so they're got incentive to grow tall to eat it.
Yeah. He asked me last night. He goes, "You know how to sharpen knives and cut meat, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good." He said, "I got a job for you."
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do all your own processing even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're at?
Do what?
Oh, I was over talking to him. Do you got room to do it where you're at?
Not where I'm at, but where my cousin lives at. Yeah, he's got 100 acres he lives on. He said, "I've got it all set up, ready to go." He said, "I got a bench in there." He said, "I'm even going to make you one where you can cut it while you're sitting down." He goes, "If your back's hurting you."
Has he got a bandsaw?
I believe he does.
Boy, it makes it easy.
Yeah, I mean, I can do it. I can do it without one. I know how to cut meat without one, but a bandsaw does make it easier. It really does. So I mean, that's what he wants. He wants me to help him, cut the stuff up. So I said, "Hell, I'll do it. I don't have a problem."
Is this the same cousin that's going to change your alternator?
No.
I was going to say,
No,
okay.
the one that changed my alternator is the second cousin. The one that is going to help me with this is my first cousin. I think the first cousin is more reliable.
Well, I would like this. If you do go out, you do your first hunt, and you dress one out and get him all processed up. Make sure that you weigh it, and then weigh your meat afterwards, because I would be interested to see with your background what type of yield you get.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was saying to him last night. He says, he said you know how to cut up a deer.
Yeah, a lot of people waste a lot of meat.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, when people say, well, like when I was cutting meat, I said, yeah, basically you can give anybody a knife and put them say, "Hey, cut this steak up," but are they going to make a good job of it? Basically, you're only going to get 5 steaks out of it, and I'm going to get 10. Because I know how to do it right. Not being big-headed, but there's a way of doing it.
Yeah, I was going to ask Rick to cut me some meat, but now it sounds like he makes paper-thin steaks. So.
No, I mean, you don't want a steak too thick. You really don't. Unless you like eating it raw in the middle.
At some point, it's no longer a steak; it's a roast.
At this point, I think Rick has come out. He wasn't working at a butcher shop. He was the steak cutter from one of those Philly cheesesteak places.
No, I mean, I like a good steak. I mean, to me, over an inch is a waste, to be quite honest with you. I will cut it for you as thick as you like it. But to me, personally, myself, a steak that's over an inch thick just doesn't do it for me. To me, I'm more of a medium rare type of guy. So by the time you got it medium rare in the middle, if you cut it real thick, the outside's burnt. That's what I'm saying. The thicker it is, the more you're going to eat it raw in the middle. It's going to be that purple red raw.
I like mine to moo when I cut into them. So.
Oh, I've heard that. Knock its horns off, wipe its ass, and throw it on a plate. I don't like it that raw. Hey, but if you said to me, cut this thick, hey, you got it. You're the paying customer. You know what I'm saying? I do whatever you want. Not that I personally like it, but I'll do it. Have I ever done a moose? I've never cut a moose, but basically, I mean, when you're deer, I cut up like I would basically a lamb. To be quite honest with you, that's how I would start off doing a deer. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I would go from there.
You're not going to get large enough chunks to make steak or roast out of, really. So you're going to cut the thing up differently than a cow, where you're going to leave big things to cut up roasts and steaks and shit.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to I mean, mainly the forequarter, the front end is going to go into your grind. You know, there's not a lot you can get off of on a deer that's worth having, in my opinion. But
are you going to mix your ground stuff with disgusting cow or gross pork, or leave it just venison?
I would personally myself, I would mix it with pork to juicing it up, because I mean, deer is a very lean animal, and it can, and
it's really good if you take with feral pig, deer and feral pig together. You get the right combination of seasoning and spice and stuff. Really good stuff.
Those pigs are super greasy.
Yeah, they're greasy enough that they add good fat content, but flavoring wise and stuff's what I'm talking about.
You ever eat a
good?
My father-in-law would do when he would grind the deer. He would get the fattiest ground beef you could find at the grocery store or butcher shop, and he would throw that in with the deer.
Yeah, I've seen people do that too. But personally myself, I would use pork, mainly pork fat, actually, to make it a bit more.
The way I see it, you got a deer who's out there drinking rainwater out of lakes, basically, maybe out of a tub or something, and then it's eating feed corn for most of its life, and then when it gets a hankering, it eats some kind of grain shit also. So I think right there, you got some of the best eating meat, and you're going to throw a boring feedlot cow into there? No way.
Yeah.
Well, we're just talking the
ground
ground stuff. We're just talking the sausage and the ground stuff. We're not talking the roast and the. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, because I can never eat your sausage because y'all are always mixing pork.
We always cooked our deer ground beef patties in bacon grease.
Yeah.
But eat them as just deer or mix pork in with them?
Just
Gentlemen.
deer.
Okay.
Just deer, but you cooked it in bacon grease.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's another way of doing it. So each their own. I mean, then when you get down to when you cut the loin, I mean, you can either do it two ways. I mean, if you want to have venison chops, you can do that, or you just whip out the, you can whip out the because basically all animals are the same way. If you look at a pork chop, it's a mini T-bone. Same with a lamb chop. It's the same thing. It's got a tenderloin and a piece of meat on top. So just take off the two pieces of meat if you want to do it that way. So you have boneless stuff there. That's some good eating right there. Then you make a roast out of the hindquarter. Get a couple of roasts off of there. Been a while since I've cut one. Once I see it in front of me, it will become easier for me to remember how to do it. To be quite honest with you, it's like riding a bike. You don't really forget. You just get a bit rusty until you get started again.
Do you got your knives still, or you got to get new knives, or what?
Oh, I got all my knives. I even got a cleaver. I got a saw. I got a hand saw. Oh yeah, I got all my knives here. Even got stills to keep them sharp. I even got a stone to sharpen them. So, see, I think people had the misconception a still only keeps it sharp. you need to get the edge on it first with a stone. Then doing it on the old steel just keeps that edge on there. You know. But,
I got a question for you, Rick. It comes from the other angle when you were saying that could you shoot one? I was thinking because of your recoil issues, because I knew you were talking about that at the beginning of the show. What rifle would you be using when you're going hunting?
Well, to be honest, I ain't got one yet, so I would have to use one of my cousins, and I'm not sure what he's got.
Have you thought about a pistol caliber rifle, like a 357 lever action?
No.
That would give you less recoil than what like a 30-06 or a 308 would, and you can still take a deer with it.
They're going to let him shoot deer with a 357?
No, you can shoot deer with a 357.
I don't know what it is in Indiana.
But that's a little deer.
We do it in Michigan all the time.
No, you can take a big deer with a 357 Magnum.
Yeah, oh yeah, we do it in Michigan a lot. Because in the lower half of Michigan, we can't use anything. We can't use any like real rifle caliber.
I hear you got tiny deer in Michigan.
They're not all tiny.
That's not what I heard.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Indiana's got to have like the biggest deer ever. All they got to do is like sit around eating corn and drinking out of lake.
Well, around here, we get big deer because they sit around eating the old apples from the orchards that are closed down.
Oh, well, that would actually be a better taste in deer than stupid corn deer.
Yeah, we got a shitload of apples and cherries.
Potatoes, we understand.
Oh, I lied. I get to shoot one more deer, so I get 5. They have a muzzle loading season for about 2 weeks. You can shoot it with a muzzle loader only. So that makes 5 deers.
If you're going to be able to get 5 tags, then you should be able to do the old Indian thing where you just find a cliff and scare a herd over it and then be like, okay, I'll take these 5.
Yeah. I tell you, I mean, there is something in this guide here. It says it wants everybody to shoot the wild pigs because they're not a native of Indiana. They're an invasive species, so they need to get rid of them. So you can shoot as many as you like. It goes.
Feral pigs are not a native of any place.
Yeah.
You can pretty much thank Texas for that issue.
Yeah, oh yes.
Howdy, kids. Sorry I'm late.
Hey, Tony. Didn't think you were going to make it today.
Full disclosure, he's talking about killing animals in here, Tony.
Yeah, talking about hunting, Tony.
Great.
You know, we're talking about whether I could, shoot a deer. You know,
I shoot
I
Wayne
can.
hard if you can get him to come close.
You know, I think I can do it. And as I was saying, I was going to go for. I got to wait 60 days though, so I might miss it this year. I don't know when. Hang on, when is the season? Let's have a look. Does it tell me this
It'll
now?
have to be Christmas.
Hang on. Deer.
They're usually all through Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually November. Well, archery here it starts with archery in October, and then you run through January with muzzle loading.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah. Archery starts October 1 to January 6th. Firearms is November 17th to December 2nd. Then muzzle loader is December 8th, 3rd.
Wow, that's November, the middle of November to the first weekend of December. That's a couple of weeks of season.
Short, very short.
Yeah.
But that's because, like you say, there's just so many of them. You could probably just go up there and use an AR-15 and take out a whole herd.
Yeah, with as big as the limits as you got, then that is understandable, I guess, as to why it's so short.
Yeah. Oh, then we have a special antlerless season.
Oh, slaughter the women.
And that runs from the 26th of December to January 6th.
Yep.
There we go.
Well, you know what?
Out there.
You talk about. I know that that's a little pricey for the non-resident that you were talking about, but the potential of getting that many deer, that's not a bad deal.
No, when you look at it that way, it's not, is it? You know, that's not. That's not a bad deal at all. But oh yeah, Tony, what I was saying was this: on a license, a resident is $24. Non-resident is $150, which is not. When you look at it, you can get 5 deer for that. That ain't bad. But I can get a special disability permit, which will allow me to shoot from the side of the road and be able to drive a vehicle onto areas that normally is not allowed, to make it easier for me because I can't walk properly.
Very likely this year, given the circumstances that you're not able to scout an area, while you may be allowed to get 5 deer, it's unlikely.
You think so? My uncle seems to get his quota every year. He was telling my uncle, my cousin.
Hold on, Tony, did you know that he's got family with 100 acres of their own land, and they hunt? So I'm guessing they've got some stuff set up.
That's it. Yeah, that 100 and whatever it is cheap.
Oh yeah. I've got another one who has a the cousin who's going to fix my alternator. It's not his, but his land backs up to a cornfield, and he said those deer come down there all the time. He said you just got to sit there and shoot them.
Hey, Rick.
That's how he gets his quota, you know.
Hey, Rick, I got to run, but I wanted to thank you for the invite and tell you I appreciate always seeing your show back on the air now. Glad you're happy with your move, and everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining in, and appreciate everybody, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks, David.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah. Anyways, my hour is up, actually. I'm overrunning, but that's okay. Unfortunately, my dead horse didn't make it, so I haven't forgotten about the quiz. We're more likely to do it Wednesday night now. Or shall I leave it for Saturday? What do you guys think? Or shall I leave it for next Saturday?
That's all.
Or do it Wednesday?
That's all your call, I guess.
You know, I have roughly the same crowd both nights.
Right.
So that's what I was saying Wednesday, you know. Because I normally see all of you, most of you, on Wednesday nights too.
I say do it as soon as you're able to do it.
All right. Now we'll get hold of him and we'll get it done Wednesday. So anyway, I want to say thanks for everybody for showing up. Been a great conversation. I didn't know talking about shooting deer could be so interesting. I have to do that more often. You know, talk about hunting. Didn't know it could get so interesting. I guess because where I was at in Rhode Island, hunting didn't even cross my mind because you know people did hunt deer there, but they're little tiny things.
There's like
you know,
there's like 7 deer in one permit, so everybody watches the one guy who gets the permit shoot the one deer.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. And the other day I was driving down the road and there was a flock of about 20 turkeys went across the road in front of me. So I thought,
you don't need no hunting permit to accelerate.
No, that's right.
You don't.
So I was thinking, well, I could shoot a turkey. I don't mind roasting a turkey. You know, I can do that. So
Get your truck squared away.
Yeah. I know that. I mean, like turkeys. I mean, in England, when I learned to be a meat cutter or butchers, they call them in England, they eat turkeys like here in America. It's Thanksgiving. In England, it was Christmas time, and when they came into the shop, Stu had, I would say, 60% of their feathers still on them. So I learned how to pluck all the feathers off them. You know, gut them out, take the necks off, stick your hand inside, pull the guts out. So shooting a turkey and doing that wouldn't bother me in the slightest. You know? So there we go. I want to say thank you all for showing up in the chats, both on gun channels and YouTube. It's great to see you all. I'm sorry I missed some of the chat. I couldn't keep up with it because I was listening to the or the other conversation, but I do appreciate you all being here. So I'll be here Wednesday at 7 p.m. So I want to say thank you all for being here.